All right, we've been live for 9 seconds. We are here with Christian Bunea, the filmmaker behind Pacaroni. An interesting name for a short film. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your short before we get into questions that we have here?
Yeah, it's a 15-minute short about a boy who loses his mother and drastically, and he goes through the grieving process by having the last meal that she cooked for him before she passed away. So it's a bit heavy-handed, but yeah. And I made it in my final year at Ryerson as a thesis project.
You know, it's really interesting because we had Garan Finlay on earlier. What a lovely, charismatic guy, and he said that he had seen this film at the Ryerson Showcase, and I think so far Pennance has been a glowing endorsement, I think, for Ryerson's film program, because we have two people here, and you know, Canadian films, selecting Canadian films is pretty rare for us, to be honest. We don't select a ton of Canadian films. And it was kind of cool to be able to do a lot more of that this year. So I do want to dig into a little bit about it, and you know, for the audience watching and who will continue to watch this, and you know, wherever it goes in the internet world, I do want to share that I had a personal reaction to this film, which is, you know, and I'm the head shorts programmer for Pennance, so damn, I should have had a reaction to it if it got programmed, and I did. And my initial gut check was that my reaction was based on a very personal experience because I did lose my mom, and this film is about that. And frankly, I don't consider myself an accurate judge whenever I'm too close to a subject matter. But then I showed it to our other programmers, and they were like, nope, this resonates broadly, and this is not just a matter of being too close to the subject. It's actually a very good film. So first, I want to talk about a question that I had, which is, what went into the decision that you made, which I'm positive was a conscious decision, to not show the father character until the very end?
Well, yeah, that was one of the first ideas I had with the film, which was, you know, how can I use, it was two things. How can I use off-screen space effectively? And how can I make sure that I am creating something that's, you know, captivating for the audience while only having one character on the screen at a time. And there were two ideas going on with the film, which was in the beginning, we have the perspective from the mother, and she has this own isolation and distance from her own son. And then it kind of flips on itself. And when we continue the story with the son, he has his own distance from the father, but it's not him, you know, the father not connecting with him, it's him not connecting with the father. So it was a risk. And I even had, you know, like I said, it was a thesis film. So I had professors tell me, you know, you got to make sure you get coverage for both characters because it's not going to work. And I really wanted to try and take that risk. So I hope it communicated effectively.
It did. It did, and kudos to you for ignoring that advice. I mean, this started out as a glowing endorsement for Ryerson, and now it's turning into a scathing indictment of professors. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. You know what? It's sometimes things are very personal to a filmmaker. We were just literally having a conversation earlier on the programming panel about how sometimes a story that you really want to tell, you have the beats mapped out in your head, and there's a particular passion that goes into that. So what made you want to tell the story? And honestly, it feels pretty lived in. And if you don't mind me asking, like, is it based on something real?
Well, you know, to answer that last part, it isn't based off my own experiences. You know, both my parents are alive and well, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And I wanted to take that idea and use it in a more metaphorical sense, because I essentially made this film, you know, for my mom. And I realized in hindsight it was a big undertaking, and you know, you have a responsibility as a filmmaker to take stories like this and make sure you can tell it as authentically as possible. But for the main inspiration, growing up, it was me, my parents, and my younger sister. She played tennis competitively, So she would always be traveling. And there was a period of time where I was around 19, and she lived in Italy for, you know, half a year at a time. And she was still young enough where my mom, you know, still felt the need to, you know, make sure she was there with her and take care of her. So I was separated, you know, it was just my father and I for, you know, 6 months at a time. And I remember distinctly her coming home after being gone for many months and making me pasta, which is, you know, it's one of my favorite meals. It's a common meal, but in that sense, you know, people can relate. But I remembered eating her pasta, and, you know, keep in mind that in that time I was making my own food. I was making my own pasta, you know, from my dad and I. And I had her food, and I realized I didn't eat any pasta for the last 6 months. This is, you know, this is something that was missing from my life. And as small as that was, it opened up a big idea in my mind of, wow, I cannot take this for granted. Like this, and this is just one of many things, you know, that I recognize, like, I gotta cherish these moments that I have with my parents, because if this is gone, it's gone for good. And I wanted to dive deep into that with that film.
You know, I don't know if you made this film specifically for, I mean, I generally find that good artists, and if you don't mind me saying, I think you're on your, if you're not there, you're already on your way to having the correct artistic spirit. I think that's such a rigid way to define it, but that's just the best words that I could explain it with. That I think that there's something in your work that speaks true. And I don't know who you made this film for, but, you know, for someone like me watching it, having literally, okay, granted on a very collapsed timeline. Obviously, I went through this entire period across 6-8 months of going through the process of trying to prepare a meal that had been prepared for me before, burning my hand, all of these things. And all of these beats ring very true, which is very difficult to do, given that, you know, especially for somebody who's had a personal experience with these things, it's very easy to spot when it feels wrong. But this didn't feel wrong to me. This was felt absolutely coherent, and everything down. I will not give it away. You know, to the ending, to the arc of the character, to the dynamic between the two characters. I think that you have something here that's extremely special. Now, I wanna talk.
Thank you.
No, it's a sincere compliment. I haven't lied once on this on these panels, and I don't intend to until, you know, this is over. So I do want to ask, before we open it up to one or two audience questions. We have a few popping up here. Shit. Oh, okay, that's nice. So beautiful. Pasta is life. Oh my god. Okay, let's, you know what, let's excel this question here. How did you approach casting? How did you find your two characters?
Well, it started with the lead, Sanjay Pavone, and I was open to anyone, and I just thought that he had you know, such a, you know, he's older than the like what I intended with the character in real life, but he had such a youthful and, you know, youthful expression and wonder in his eye that I thought he could really captivate what I wanted with the film. And from there, I just got really lucky with the rest of the cast. They one of the things I'm most proud of, especially with the one shot with the little boy, is that it all felt authentic, and I could believe that they were a real family. So yeah, I was lucky. Everything just fell into place, and, you know.
What went into the decision of shooting it on film?
Well, you know, you probably heard this type of answer over and over again. You know, there's something about
give it to me one more time.
Film and filmmakers. There's something there. But more specifically for me, I love the look of 16 mil. It's got that nice combination of like Super 8 and 35. And I thought, you know, given it was my final year at film school, I wanted to just take risks and try something new. But one of the big things for me was, aside from giving it that like homey, nostalgic look, because that's what, you know, the feel I was trying to get with the film. I was really eager to experiment with the process of, you know, having a limited amount of film, and, you know, having my cinematographer, Taylor Ness, you know, if he's on the camera, I don't have a monitor. We couldn't figure out a monitor setup, and I was there with the actors, limited takes. It really changed the experience and opened my eyes in terms of, you know, really, you know, living in the moment with your actors. And it's something I want to try doing again, but with more money, because it was very difficult to make sure we could get everything within the resources we had.
I mean, cutting on film and shooting on film is an expensive and somewhat, you know, complex process. You know, I think anyone who has done it, and honestly, we talked about, you know, all the records that we've set at this film festival this year because we're going digital. We selected the record number of Canadian filmmakers. We selected the, you know, record number of female directors at the features program. But what we never talked about was we selected a record number of film shot on film. You know,
that's awesome.
and I wonder how much, because, you know, one of the conversations that we've been having throughout these panels is collective consciousness. You know, because you know, I think when people go back and listen to all the Q&As and all the panels, if anyone has the patience to go through 24 hours of pretty much recorded interviews at the end of this festival, I think you're going to find like consistent thoughts and patterns emerging. And one of them is this concept of this collective consciousness between artists, and how artists are a reflection, all just holding mirrors up against, you know, something to the society that we're in. And we are just trying to capture a moment in an interesting way, and capture, you know, an interesting part of that, and present it, you know, to the audience. And so, am I surprised that there are a lot of films coming about leaving Earth shot in 16 millimeter? No, it makes a lot of sense, you know. So this is interesting. But congratulations on this film. Yeah, I mean, this is I think it's a short that's going to stay with me for a while. Like, really, like, just kind of unpacking it. And I think when you do make a film that is this personal, and I know that you're saying it's not personal for you, but the story feels personal.
One thing I want to add to that, if I may,
sure.
I still, you know, that was always in the back of my mind. I'm trying to recreate a moment that I haven't fully lived in, and I did have colleagues and you know, personal friends who have gone through similar experiences, and I tried to do as much research as I could to make it as authentic as possible. And it was very helpful to get like that insight, even though you aren't fully there from your own personal experiences. You gotta, you know, like I said before, do everything you can to, you know, you have that responsibility to make it authentic. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we define lived in and based on experiences. I think we define it a little too rigidly, almost like it's like a, you know, it's a documentary. It's not like,
right.
It's coming from something real, right? Like that does happen. So I want to thank you for bringing your film to Pendance. It's been
Thank you for
an
having
honor.
me.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the film festival. And
For sure.
we got a really awesome suggestion last night of like having these little panels but not recorded after the festival for the filmmakers to just communicate like this. So we're going to set that up for everyone who's interested, the filmmakers selected, to just kind of have like a little virtual lobby after the festival, maybe like a couple of days. Give us some time to sleep, but we'll be there.
Awesome.
Okay?
I'd love to be a part of that.
Awesome. Okay, take care, Christian, and best of luck with this film, and let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Goodbye.